I'm Vince, but everybody calls me Taz. I've been building custom hot rods since I was a kid. I couldn't afford to buy one, so I learned how to build them. This is my partner LeeAnn. When she's not out shopping for cars, she's racing them. Our team rescues rusty old wrecks, and we'll teach you how to restore them for just $10,000. Why are you only going to give me $10,000?
You're going to be lucky if your wife lets you spend that much.
That's true. So if you're not afraid to pick up a wrench and get your hands dirty, we'll show you the right parts, tools, and techniques to get the job done. This is Rust Rescue.
Welcome to Rust Rescue. This is a different kind of car show. There are a zillion different reality shows out there about restoring classic cars, but they're all the same, just with different characters, and they're not even about the cars. Rust Rescue is not a reality show. It's a build show, and we're going to show you how you can restore a classic car for $10,000 or less. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but it can be done. Most of the cost of a restoration is in the labor. So if you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty, you can save a lot of money. So clear out a space in your garage and grab your toolbox, because we're going to go rescue some classic cars.
Before you can restore a car, you've got to find them. The best place to look is on the internet, barnyards and backyards, or any salvage yard. That's the best place you can find a good car for a reasonable price. But you have to find the right car. Not all cars make good project cars, like the one right behind me. Rule number one is you want to get a car that's within your means to repair. While this car looks like it's a full car and it's got all the parts you need, just some rust, it's not. This car needs a frame, it needs to have metal work done to it, it needs to have motor work done to it. It's basically a mess. We can repair it, most people can't. On the other hand, you've got a car like this, which is a 71 Mach 1. You put a motor in it, you put a transmission in it, some body parts on it, you don't have to make them, and you're basically ready to go down the road.
Another thing to consider when you're shopping for a project car is the availability of parts. Take this Chevy Chevelle. The Chevelles ran from 1964 to 1977, and they are hugely popular, especially this SS model. As a result, they are really easy to find parts for, and they can be worth some coin once restored. On the flip side, because they're so popular, they can be expensive even as a project car. So be sure to shop around and find the right one so you're not paying too much. Take this Hudson Hornet on the other hand. These are hugely popular because of the Disney movies, but they're really rare and impossible to find parts for. So if you get one of these, you're going to have to fabricate all your parts, which can be really expensive and is outside of what most people can handle.
Last but not least, you want to find a car that's running. It's a lot better to have to refresh a motor in the transmission than it is to go out and try to find one. And if it has a motor already in it, there's a good chance it's a numbers matching car. Numbers matching cars are worth a lot more money than one that isn't.
For our first project car, I've been on Facebook and found a 1949 Plymouth. The Plymouth isn't a hugely popular car, so I think we can get it for a good price. And I have a feeling Vince is going to want to do something crazy with it anyway. But first we got to go check it out and see if it's in good shape. So I'm going to go pick up Vince and we're going to head over and look at it.
Are you Barry?
I am Barry.
How are you,
Hey,
sir?
Barry.
My partner LeeAnn?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Awesome. My name is Barry White. This is Queen City Auto Repair where I'm the owner, and we specialize in Toyotas and Lexus.
We come to see the 49 Plymouth.
Okay.
Where did you find this car?
Well, actually, I went in with a guy that bought the car about 12, 15 years ago, and after about 3 years, he sort of vanished, so I was stuck with a car I didn't know what to do with.
Well, maybe we can take it off your hands. Why don't you show it to us?
Most definitely.
We're not going to find them in the trunk, are we?
No, we're not.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure that
He won't be in the trunk.
I think I see it over there.
Oh, let's go take a look.
Okay.
All right.
Look at that.
Ooh. Not bad.
It's not in bad shape at all.
Here's the Mayflower.
Cool.
Cool.
I like this. It's not in bad shape at all.
No. Well, why don't you let us take a look at it? We don't want to keep you from running your business, and once we look it over, we'll come back and talk with you.
Awesome.
All right, sounds great, Barry. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right. This body is not in bad shape.
Not at all. Look at the chrome on this thing. I mean, this is usable chrome.
It is. We could just refresh that.
I think we'll be all right with this. The only stuff I'm seeing, and I don't know if we'll be able to find them, but if not, we'll make some kind of new, I think, for starters, forgetting about this thing as stock.
Definitely not.
It's not worth anything stock.
No, it's
Let's
only
either
worth about
rat rod
10
it,
grand.
or we'll hot rod it.
Let's hot rod it.
See, if we hot rod it, chop the roof, bring the roof down at an angle,
Yeah.
you know, new windshields, all that stuff.
Then we can put something
Yep.
a little more modern, a little more funky there if we have to. I think we can probably find some of this stuff on eBay.
Well, we'll give it a shot. I mean, it's got no rot,
It's got hubcaps.
and they're good. Don't dent them. They're actually worth money.
I know.
There it goes. All right.
Oh, hey, okay.
Hey, it's got a motor.
It's got a motor.
It's got the original horns. Oh, heck yeah. Look at the size of those things.
Nice.
It's going to be one of them old, like the cartoons. Vintage.
Vintage.
So, put it on eBay.
Vintage engine enamel.
There you go. Put it on eBay. It's got to be worth something. Trunk actually works.
Oh, there's a gas tank.
It's got an actual good spare tire.
Wow.
Ah, found it. This is a Special Deluxe. This is the high-end one.
Yep, it is.
Yeah,
Very
buddy.
nice. We got to keep that.
We'll keep that. Wait, more handles.
Good. I think we have all of our door handles.
Yep. This car's in pretty good condition compared to how long it's been sitting outside. Even the chrome is in good shape. This is going to be an easy build.
I was checking out the VIN plate over there, and it doesn't look like it's the original VIN plate, or at least it's not attached originally. It doesn't have the original rusty rivets that I would expect.
It's
got
not riveted?
screws. It's not riveted. It's screwed.
Okay.
So either the rivets had rusted out at some point and they just put it back in with screws, or that's not the original VIN plate. So we're going to have to check that that is the correct VIN for this car, because otherwise our title guy is going to have to bond the car, which is another $500. I just really don't want to pay that. This Plymouth is in really good shape, but $2,000 is a bit much considering he doesn't have a title and we're not sure if the VIN plate is original. So I'm going to offer him $1,000 and see if he'll take it.
If we're going to do the work we're going to do to it, we could lift the body.
Okay.
On the chassis, there should be another set of VIN numbers.
True. We got to make sure those match.
So as long as they match, we're good. There should be another set underneath the engine block. There's about 4 of them, I think, on the old cars. Usually 5, but on these old ones, I think there's only 4. So we'll make sure.
All right.
I think we're good.
So I said that we offer him $1,000.
Sounds good. It's worth at least that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go talk to him.
Let's go.
See if he'll take it.
I think we should go ahead and get rid of it.
Yeah. It makes sense to me.
Hey, Barry.
Been around. Hey.
Hey.
Hey. So what you think?
We really like it. It's in pretty good shape. My only concern is that you don't have a title for it, and we noticed that the VIN plate may not be original, so we're not sure if we're going to have to get the car bonded or not. So I'm not sure it's worth $2,000. Would you take $1,000 for it?
Why not?
All right, you got yourself a deal then. Thanks,
All right.
man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll let you know what we do with it.
All right.
Thanks
Sounds
so
good.
much. Nice meeting you.
You too.
Once you find a classic car that you want to restore, it's time to make sure you have the right tools before you start tearing it down. Obviously, you're going to want a good basic set of automotive tools that include sockets, wrenches, pliers, screwdrivers. But if you've been wrenching on your daily driver, you probably have a metric set. Cars after 1980 started going to the metric system. But these classic cars built prior to 1980, most of them are going to have standard bolts. Some of them are going to have both standard and metric, and that's really frustrating. And while most standard bolts have a metric equivalent that you can use in a pinch, it's always better to have the right tools for the job. So you may want to go out and pick up a set of standard sockets and wrenches, or a set that includes both standard and metric. Another tool that you're going to need is a hammer, what we like to call the BDH, the big darn hammer. That's because a lot of the bolts that you're going to be getting out of these old cars are totally rusted out, and they're going to need a little motivation to get them out. So make sure you have a good BDH. The BDH might not be enough though. So you want to have some good cutting tools. Cutting wheels, which you're also going to need to cut out the floor pans and any other rusty pieces of metal that cannot be salvaged. Or you might try a little jigsaw. This is also good for getting bolts and cutting off other pieces of bad metal. And finally, you're going to need a good chisel as well. This one happens to be an air chisel, but just a normal manual chisel combined with your BDH will also work. Finally, you want to make sure you have safety equipment. I like to use nitrile or latex gloves when I'm working on the cars to keep all the fluids off of my hands and so my hands don't get totally black. And you'll want to have a good set of leather mechanics gloves. These will help protect your hands when you're using things like cutting tools and chisels. Finally, always want to have face protection, either a full face shield like this one or a good pair of safety glasses. Remember, safety first. Before you disassemble your project car, you want to get all of the paint off of it and get it down to bare metal. That way you can see how much rust there really is, because there can be quite a bit hiding under the surface of this paint. To get the paint off, you have a few different options. You can get a media blasting company to come out and media blast the whole car. The problem with that is that it's really expensive. It can run you up to $2,000, and that's going to eat into your $10,000 build budget real quick. There are also some chemical strippers, but those are toxic and not the best to work with. That is why we love the Eastwood SCT. This is our new favorite toy here at Rust Rescue. The surface conditioning tool will remove all of the paint from the car and take it down to bare metal in about 4 hours. This thing is amazing. It has 6 different speeds that you can adjust, and that takes it from about 1,000 RPMs all the way up to 3,700 RPMs, and it has this nice, easy single trigger control for you to control it. It comes with different drums. It'll come with this surface finishing drum, and this is the one you'll actually use last on the metal, and you can even use this to give it that brushed aluminum look. But before that, you want to use this drum. This one's going to take it down to the bare metal. It's going to take your paint off. 2 of these in about 4 hours will literally cover the whole car. This one is the equivalent of a wire brush, and this is what you're going to use on the frame to get the surface rust off before you do any welding to install like new floor pans. And this is a sanding drum. It's just basically sandpaper, and it comes in different grits. And the cool thing is, once you get all the paint off the car, this works on wood. You can go out back and resurface your deck. The other great thing about this tool is that it has a 9-amp double insulated motor, and all the gears inside are steel. So it's going to have a very durable construction to give you long life and give you maximum torque. We love our Eastwood surface conditioning tool. This thing has changed how we get paint off the cars and has made our lives so much easier. So if you want to save a lot of time and money, pick up one of these. If you're a movie buff, you've probably heard of such iconic characters as James Bond, Scarlett O'Hara, and my personal favorite, Darth Vader. But sometimes that iconic character is not a person, but a car. Like Eleanor, the '67 Fastback Mustang from Gone in 60 Seconds, or the 1966 Chrysler Imperial that became the Green Hornet's Black Beauty. Such is the case with our next project car, a 1977 Pontiac Trans Am, just like the one that was used in Smokey and the Bandit, starring Burt Reynolds and Sally Fields. The late 70s was a really sad time in the muscle car era due to the introduction of emissions regulations and rising gas prices. Most of the U.S. car manufacturers shifted their focus to smaller, more fuel-efficient cars, leaving these beautiful hot rods for a bygone era. Well, fortunately, Pontiac wasn't going to let that era go quietly. Our project car is a second-generation Trans Am, which was produced from 1970 to 1981. And thanks to its inclusion in hit movies like Smokey and the Bandit and Rocky II, sales skyrocketed. But I have a feeling our project car is going to need a lot more TLC before it's ready for the silver screen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, break it down. How bad is it?
Everything on this car is going to need attention. The engine has already been pulled because it's going to need a complete rebuild. And we really have got to look at the structure of the car. The floorboards are super important in this car because they hold the subframe to the body. They were rusted out, so we're going to build new ones. And the interior, that's another story.
Well, it sounds like we have a full rust rescue ahead of us, so let's get the car completely torn down so we can see exactly what we're going to need.
How about we make Vince and the boys do that part?
That is an excellent idea. So I'll go tell Vince to tear down the car and let you and I get online and figure out where we're going to source the parts.
That sounds great.
Let's go.
Well, can I lend a set of hands for what?
Well, we've got to take the whole nose of this car up and figure out where the rust and rot and everything else is going to be in it.
Looks like there's a lot of rust and rot on this thing then.
Well, it looks to me like the front of this car was sitting in water because look at your power steering pump, pretty much look at your radiator support, but we'll see. Let's get it up in the air. Is this on there? Steady? Let's get it up. Watch still, guys. Yeah, see how bad it is?
Daggone.
It's going to be interesting trying to get this all apart because I don't think it's going to come apart real simple. But might as well get started on it. Whole nose has got to come off, and probably the clip. We'll take the whole front clip out, and just this way we can work on the body separately and work on the front chassis separately. This way we don't have to work together.
Oh, thank God. After you tear apart your car, you're going to find a lot of rust hiding in little nooks and crannies. While it's obvious that on the surface there is rust, we can find out using a couple of simple tools to find out if the body is viable or not. Simple way, poke it with a screwdriver. If it goes through, it's probably not good. That's obvious. But I can use my little squire brush to scrub back and forth and see if the metal is porous underneath. It's important to get rid of all this rust before you put it back together, otherwise everything is going to spread onto the new metal. Oh, and before I get started, I got to make sure that I cover my eyes. Rust in the eyeballs is not very good. Make sure you wear safety glasses or a safety shield before you get to work.
What'd you find?
Well, I'd say that this entire piece underneath the radiator is trash. The rust is pretty extensive under here, Vince.
Okay, this is going to be fun trying to get this off. It's all rotted on. What about the back, the floor pans, any of that?
Let me give you a tour. Wow. Well, this is a little worrying.
Ooh. Oh, we got to have to change these floor pans. Yeah, that's not. Oh, I hope that wasn't. Okay, that's okay. That was just the carpet you went through. So now I got to change the carpet too.
You're welcome.
Yeah, back here too. The back panels are pretty bad as well. Wow, these are going to be fun to change too. You know what we got to do with these? These are going to be a little tricky because your floor pans, if you notice, is what holds the front frame in and the subframe in the back end. So if we don't do this right, first time he pulls the whole shot, he's going to lose the front tires and the rear tires.
Oh my God.
So we have to make sure this is solid as a rock.
That's going to take some doing.
Yep. Ready to get your hands real dirty?
Oh, always.
Let's do it. about midway. We're going to do about there. Okay, now that we've got all the bolts out of the fenders and out of the radiator support, you got to do something with them. If you throw them all in the bin, then later on you've got to figure out which ones go where, and that'll take you a couple of weeks extra. Best thing to do, get a baggie. You can get it at any grocery store, Ziploc bags. Mark it with the year of the car, the make of the car, and the model of the car, and then write in it radiator support bolts, radiator, dashboard, whatever it is you're taking apart. Put them in there. File them in a big Tupperware bin, and this way when you're ready to put the car back together, everything is labeled, they'll go back together real quick and easy for you. For these old cars, it's going to get to a point where you're going to have bolts that just will not come free. First thing I would do is soak them down with some PG Blast, WD-40, or whatever it is. If they still don't give way, like this one here, the actual U-bolt inside of it has broken off, so it's just free spinning, you get to get out the cutters. And as usual, use your headgear. Alright, now that we've got the fenders off of this car, we're going to take off the radiator support, if it comes off, because this is the part that was rotted. We're going to pull off the windshield, we're going to take off the doors, and I believe we're going to drop the subframe on this thing. This way we can actually send it out, have it powder coated, and because it's in pretty bad shape. As soon as we get that done, we'll start working on the rear of the car.